I was reborn as a baby. With every mouthful of milk, I grew stronger. By 3 months, I had already done 10,000 leg kicks. At 4 months, I learned to crawl and catch cockroaches. At 5 months, I was already walking with ease. That's because I, having been isekai'd, came with a cheat system. As long as I continuously trained one part of my body, that part would become infinitely stronger. Although the world I was in was still called Earth, it had mutated. Many terrifying, unknown creatures appeared. These creatures were collectively known as anomalous beasts. To fight these anomalous beasts, humanity spent years developing 2 paths. One was mechanically enhanced humans, the other was gene fusionists. Gene modification involves fusing with anomalous beast genes to gain some of their abilities. It's like fighting fire with fire. As for the mechanically enhanced humans, it's because flesh and blood are weak. They chose mechanical ascension, using technology to defeat the anomalous beasts. They strengthened their bodies through mechanical modification. Fortunately, I had my own golden finger. As long as I lay low and evolve, I can survive in this world. Not long after, new neighbors moved in next to my house. They also had a daughter. Her name was Shen Qinghan. At that moment, I had no idea that our destinies would become tightly intertwined. Through continuous training, and with the boost from my use it or lose it effect, at only 7 months old, I learned to run and had even mastered jumping. I even easily learned a little bit of language. By the 8th month, I had already started training my abs. Although I was training in secret, I was still discovered by my parents. But the sight was so unbelievable that she thought she was just seeing things. However, the abs on my body were clearly exposed. My cheat ability was almost revealed. My dear old dad just filled in the blanks, assuming I was a genius, and I got away with it perfectly. But this world isn't short on geniuses. I learned from a TV report that a 2-year-old boy from a 1,000-year-old martial arts family in Kyoto could already lift a 20-kilogram dumbbell with one hand. My mother was unfazed after seeing it. She even praised me, saying that in the future, I definitely wouldn't lose to those so-called genius families. After that, I became even more diligent, with the help of my use it or lose it skill. By the time I was 2, I could also easily handle 20 kilograms with one hand. But Shen Qinghan, who was my age, still spoke with a babyish voice. Her pronunciation wasn't clear either. Because of the huge gap in our mental ages, we didn't play together. However, she was perfect for using as a weighted accessory. But this weighted accessory had one small problem: it would occasionally leak water. When I was 3 years old, a 40-kilogram weight was no problem for me. At this point, I was already stronger than that prodigy of the same age. But I discovered that my biological level was still at ordinary, rank 1. I didn't know how to reach rank 2. So, with this question in mind, I stepped out of my house for the first time, and for the first time, I saw the outside world. Those gene fusionists and mechanically enhanced humans. And the place I was headed was the library. Because my parents didn't let me have too much contact with electronic devices, if I wanted to answer my questions. The best way was to come to the library. Through reading, I started to gain a new understanding of this mutated Earth's worldview. It turns out, ancient stone tablets and mysterious ruins recorded that this world is divided into the following 6 biological levels: ordinary, advanced, rare, epic, legendary, and mythical, and within each level, there are 9 sublevels. Normal humans are at sublevel 1 of the ordinary level. So, in front of those high-level creatures, humanity is less than an ant. Therefore, I knew I had to speed up the pace of my strengthening. Only then would I have a chance to survive in this dangerous world. Because I had achieved the accumulated reading of 100 million words accomplishment, I unexpectedly gained the celestial wisdom ability. After that, I began to train in both academics and martial arts. I continued to read while also exercising diligently. At the age of 4, I started my kindergarten career. It was also this year that I successfully leveled up to ordinary tier 2. And could lift an 80-kilogram weight with one hand. Such a feat was considered quite impressive, even among adults. Meanwhile, Qinghan was often teased by other classmates for wetting his pants. As they say, with great power comes great responsibility. I jumped directly onto the teacher's podium and then let out a loud roar. All of you, shut your mouths. From now on, if anyone dares to call him the bed-wetting king, I'll make them wet the bed every single day. All the other children were scared to tears. Only Qinghan looked at me with a face full of admiration. This domineering move of mine also unexpectedly earned me the title, King of the Kindergarten Kids. Half a year later, I successfully completed my reading task. V-20, Kosh, X. I obtained the biological attribute, Celestial Fire Wisdom. From then on, my learning ability reached the peak of human potential. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, we were almost 7, and RFC successfully held its kindergarten graduation ceremony. During the holidays before starting elementary school, I continued to train, constantly improving myself. Now, I can not only lift 200 kilograms with one hand. My high jump has also surpassed 2 meters, and my 100-meter dash is even under 8 seconds. Thanks to the boost from my celestial wisdom, I had essentially learned the entire elementary school curriculum in my spare time. Not long after, my time as an elementary school student finally began. Since I had already started self-studying the middle and high school curriculum, competitions in elementary school were naturally a breeze. But winning awards was all meaningless to me. I just wanted to quickly unlock the title of elementary school top dog. Normally at school, whenever I had a moment, I would give Shen Qinghan some extra private tutoring. While Shen Qinghan wasn't exceptionally talented, she made up for it with her diligence and good behavior. After just one semester, her grades were already ranked first in the entire class. And of course, that number one spot belonged to me. To unlock the title as quickly as possible. Besides studying, I also actively participated in all the events at the school's sports festival. And I broke every single school record. Just when I thought I would continue repeating this same old routine and have an uneventful elementary school life, a peculiar new transfer student appeared in our class. The reason I say she was peculiar is because I could sense a trace of something on her. An aura that wasn't human. The aloof school beauty's body was always secreting some unknown liquid. And it also gave off a foul odor. Because of this, she was shunned by the other students. However, I just thought she was a bit unusual, simply because when she first transferred, I had already sensed that trace of an inhuman aura on her. Although Bai Shui was very beautiful, I was more interested in why she had that inhuman aura. In the days that followed, as soon as class was over, Bai Shui would just lay her head on her desk, completely motionless. At first, everyone was still curious about her. After a while, they stopped paying much attention to her. That is, until about a month later. Bai Shui's body began to secrete some kind of white liquid. It wasn't clear what the substance was, but it had a foul smell. As a result, she was shunned by all her classmates. One boy went too far and poured water on her head, saying she stank. And that he was helping her wash up. I thought this girl, who was usually so aloof and quiet, would get angry. But instead, she just started whimpering and crying. The students bullying her roared with laughter. Even though I hadn't figured out her secret yet, I decided I had to step in when I saw this. So, I walked over, patted Guan Chun on the shoulder, and gave him a friendly gesture to wipe Bai Shui's desk clean. Guan Chun immediately nodded his head over and over, showing it wasn't a problem. That's only because at school, I was famous for being good at both academics and sports. Not even the 6th graders dared to mess with me. Then, I motioned to the ones who'd been bullying Zishui. Get over here and apologize to her right now. Those classmates were instantly startled, trembling in fear. Then they lined up and apologized to Bai Shui as a group, desperately hoping to be forgiven. Bai Shui immediately expressed her heartfelt gratitude to me. And from that day on, Shen Qinghan took the initiative to approach this white-haired girl, pulling me along in hopes of becoming her friend. After we got to know each other better, Bai Shui finally voiced the doubt she held deep in her heart. Why don't you guys look down on me? It wasn't that she didn't believe us, but because she had been pushed away and looked down upon by everyone since childhood. Having someone by her side for the first time brought her a sense of happiness. That felt too unreal, but Shen Qinghan replied resolutely. I once had the exact same experience, so there's no way I would ever look down on you. As long as you want to be, we'll be best friends forever. Tears instantly welled up and gushed from Bai Shui's eyes. Thank you both so much. With that, she took off the necklace from her neck. You guys always share delicious food with me and even became my friends. So I want to give you something in return. This pair of beast fangs was a birthday gift from my mom last year. Now I'm giving them to you. I really hope you won't look down on them. Shen Qinghan didn't refuse Bai Shui's kindness. Instead, she said happily, we'll be best friends forever and ever. Just when Shen Qinghan thought this friendship would last forever, Bai Shui suddenly transferred. I knew this because I saw a cyborg with my own eyes. Bring her into the principal's office to handle the transfer papers. I even overheard the principal say her records were completely confidential. From this, it was clear that Bai Shui's identity was indeed far from simple. From that day on, we never saw Bai Shui again. Perhaps she was just a passing passenger in our childhood. But compared to Bai Shui's departure, the events that followed caught my attention even more. The 10-year-old prodigy in Kyoto had actually succeeded in fusing beast genes. Now, he could lift a 1,000-pound boulder with just one hand. This really took me by surprise. To think he started fusing genes at such a young age. I never expected that simply fusing genes could multiply his strength by 5 times. But I'm only 8 years old right now. Even without going through gene fusion, I can already lift a 300-kilogram weight with one hand. It seems my potential is still much greater. Calculating it like this, I was still full of confidence for the future. It wasn't until I saw the next piece of news that I truly understood what it felt like to be ruled by fear. A severe beast attack had occurred in a neighboring country. According to footage captured by eyewitnesses, the attack was linked to giant mutant rats. This was the first time the boy witnessed the true power of cyborgs. Even the powerful beasts that the boy stood no chance against were instantly crushed in a single clash. It turned out that not long ago, Yi Zikan had seen a news report about a beast attack. Investigations revealed that cultists were fueling this mutant rat attack behind the scenes. The spokesperson of Sakura country requested aid from other nations on camera. This anti-human organization, founded by human traders, was known as the cult. For the sake of profit, those people became lackeys of the beasts, carrying out attacks within the human world. Fortunately, Yi Zikin was born in a powerful country, giving him a relatively stable environment to lay low and grow his strength. However, Yi Zikin heard the sudden cracking sound of sonic booms outside his window. He immediately realized something was wrong. He rushed to the window to check, only to see numerous cyborgs flying across the sky. Yi Zikin could only hope that nothing terrible was happening. Fortunately, the night passed without incident. Yi Zikin was waiting for Han so they could head to school together, but he suddenly noticed something unexpected. Beast Fang Bai Shui had given them was actually glowing. This led Yi Zikin to conclude that it was a mutant beast's tooth. The non-human aura he had sensed before must have originated from this very tooth, though he hadn't looked into it too deeply back then. But with the cyborg mobilization last night combined with the strange glow of the fang, he couldn't shake the ominous feeling that something terrible was about to happen. Just as the two of them walked past a red-haired woman, she suddenly called out to them. "What adorable children, are you two siblings?" Han immediately explained that we weren't siblings, but childhood friends. Hearing this, the woman immediately revealed a malicious smile. Then, she tentatively asked, "You go to school by yourselves at such a young age? Where are your parents?" Seeing this, Yi Zikin quickly pulled Han away, and signaled for her not to waste time. After arriving at school, Yi Zikin warned her not to casually answer questions from strangers who approach them in the future. Then, he took Han home via a different route. However, as they were passing through an alley, they ran into the same woman who had approached them that morning. Yi Zikin couldn't help but mutter to himself, "I already took a detour. Has she been following me this whole time?" And then, a man suddenly emerged from behind the woman. Without a word, the man rushed forward and tried to grab them. Seeing that they were clearly human traffickers trying to kidnap them, Yi Zikin immediately got into a fighting stance. As he threw a sudden punch, it landed squarely on the man's chest. Instantly, the man was sent flying backward like a cannonball. The woman was completely stunned. That's not right. How can a primary schooler send a grown man flying? Before she could figure out what was happening, Yi Zikin was already in front of her. He then raised his fist and smashed it viciously into her face. Yi Zikin knew this alley had no security cameras. To eliminate any future trouble, he prepared to execute them on the spot. But unexpectedly, the ground suddenly began to tremble. Along with it came the roar of a giant beast. Then, Yi Zikin saw a mutated beast appear before his eyes. It was the giant mutated rat that had appeared on TV yesterday. The giant mutated rat then opened its massive jaws and bit off the lower half of the woman's body. Seeing the trafficker become food for the giant rat, Yi Zikin quickly turned around, picked up Han and ran for his life. "I have to get to a safe place, quickly." Fortunately, not long after they started running, a mechanically modified person flew in from the sky. Seeing her fly straight towards the mutated rat, I finally stopped. In the blink of an eye, the woman flew to the top of the giant mutated rat's head. Guangguan manga recap. She then directly raised her arm, charging it as a weapon. Tianshan manga. After the charging was complete, she aimed a cannon at the giant mutated rat. Several tranquilizer shells suddenly fired from the palm of her hand. Guangguan manga recap. The giant mutated rat was immediately bombarded. "Even though I'm just a primary school kid, I can lift 700 kilograms with one arm. I'm not far behind even the gene warriors who have fused with demon beast bloodlines." However, when facing the giant mutated rat, I could still only flee in panic. Luckily, the female cyborg who suddenly appeared out of nowhere launched a furious bombardment against the giant mutated rat. Then, the woman pressed her advantage. A single slash across the mutated rat's neck completely ended the giant beast's life. Having witnessed the entire battle, I couldn't help but guess that this woman's level wasn't very high. Even after the mutated rat was weakened by tranquilizer darts, she still fought it hand-to-hand for a full 7 minutes before ending the battle. However, I also knew that the mutated rat was indeed tough to deal with. It was a creature with a biological level as high as a normal 5th tier. At my current stage, I'm no match for it at all. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to escape yesterday. For my own self-preservation, I have to increase the intensity of my training. Although the mutated beast crisis still exists, life has to go on as usual. Soon, Han and I celebrated our 9th birthday. After making a wish, we exchanged birthday gifts. With the help of my celestial talent, I personally carved a wooden hairpin as a gift. The days that followed were uneventful. I successfully earned the title of elementary school champion and obtained the survival of the fittest talent. During the vacation before starting middle school, I stuck to a high-intensity training regimen every day. On the day before school started, my biological level successfully broke through to the normal 3rd tier. Coincidentally, the day before school started, there was news on TV about the prodigy from the capital. After fusing with a giant strength ant, at just 14 years old, he could single-handedly lift an alloy weighing 2,000 kilograms. Right now, I can lift 700 kilograms with one hand. Once I fuse with the gene, my own strength should increase by at least 4 to 8 times. I couldn't help but get excited. Soon after, my middle school life officially began. Thanks to my outstanding performance in elementary school, I accepted an invitation from Shanghai Middle School on the condition that Han could enroll with me. Since Shanghai Middle School has excellent sports facilities, Han and I arranged to play a game of badminton before school started. But we hadn't been playing for long when some unwelcome guests showed up. "You guys must be new here. This court is reserved for us upperclassmen." The guy's lackey also started hitting on Han, and my expression immediately turned grim. First come, first served. I don't need to explain the rules to you, do I? However, the leader of the group insisted on taking the court. When I heard that, I decided to handle this my own way. With a single swing of my racket, the shuttlecock flew so fast it nearly created a sonic boom, punching right through the punk's racket and hat. The three of them were instantly terrified, simply because of the power I had just displayed. It wasn't the kind of strength any normal person could possess. They quickly lined up and meekly apologized. Then, they took off in a flash. Perhaps word of the incident got around school, because no one ever tried to bully us again. Since I had already finished all my middle school coursework, I usually just spent my class time reading other books that interested me. At night, after working out, I would also learn all sorts of new skills online. This was all so I could unlock the Middle School Overlord title as quickly as possible. A semester went by quickly, but unexpectedly, I didn't unlock the title. Instead, I somehow ended up with a bunch of fangirls. But I had no time for them. Besides tutoring Han, I focused all my attention on the upcoming school sports meet. I figured that if I could dominate the 3 major sports categories at the meet, I should be able to unlock the Middle School Overlord title. From Guangguan Comics in the end, I easily took first place. Just as I was collecting all my medals from Guangguan Comics, I suddenly felt a surge of power erupt inside me. I had finally unlocked the Middle School Overlord title, acquired the biological attribute, Survival of the Fittest. From Guangguan Comics, a single tentacle was selling for 998 in the supermarket. It turned out this wasn't ordinary meat, but the flesh of a mutant beast called the ghostly shadow squid. But I gritted my teeth and bought it anyway, all because I had recently unlocked the Middle School Overlord title. I obtained the biological attribute, Survival of the Fittest, which allows my life essence to transcend all other living things. Although the talent's description said I could devour the life essence of other creatures to evolve, I had no idea what life essence actually was. But it wasn't long before I started to understand. I then asked Han for the beast tooth necklace she was wearing. The very instant I touched the tooth, I suddenly felt a strange wave of energy inside me. Attribute analysis, then a notification sound chimed. When the Codex progress bar reaches 100%, you can evolve some of the corresponding mutant beast's attributes or skills. However, I had no idea what an abyss giant butterfly was. So when I got home, I immediately looked it up, but I couldn't find any information on it at all. It looked like I'd have to figure out this mutant beast on my own. I then took another tooth out of my backpack. After I absorbed the life essence from it, the Abyss Giant Butterfly Codex progress increased to 2%. I was a little disappointed. The amount of essence in the beast tooth was pathetically small. I'd have to find another way to unlock it completely. Later, to increase the intensity of my workouts, I started giving Han a ride to and from school on my bike every day. But I didn't expect to be stopped by Mr. Guo, the head of the school's martial arts team. He said he saw my outstanding performance at the sports meet and wanted to invite me to join the school's martial arts team. Then he left without even giving me a chance to refuse. After I got home, I tried swatting a few mosquitoes. Turns out, creatures that are too weak can't trigger the survival of the fittest ability at all. Only powerful mutant beasts have enough life essence to be absorbed. To test my theory, I decided to check out the supermarket that sells beast meat. Soon, I arrived at the superstore in the city center. All the meat here was pre-packaged. There was no way to test it without touching it directly. Then, I noticed a butcher nearby carving up some lean meat. I eagerly made my way toward the stall. In my hurry to test my theory, I had completely forgotten about Han. I nervously reached my hand toward the beast meat, and it was just as I had expected. The beast meat indeed contained an incredibly vibrant life essence. I quickly composed myself and said I wanted to buy some to try. Since beast meat is very expensive, I chose the cheapest option, the ghost shadow squid. Han, however, said worriedly that it was too expensive. I quickly motioned for her not to worry. My mom even told me to buy extra to bring home. She wants your family to come over and try some, too. She's planning to prepare a beast meat meal for both our families. And so, I spent 3,000 to take the beast meat home. As I left, I couldn't help but feel a pang of regret. This stuff is seriously expensive. After buying the meat, I realized it was already dark, so I decided to head straight home. But I couldn't resist trying it out first, to see if absorbing its life essence would affect the quality of the meat. Narration. When I placed my hand on the ghost shadow squid meat, I successfully devoured its life essence. Narration: the Ghost Shadow Squid's Codex entry only filled by a pathetic 0.01%. Narration: a woman just opens the iron armor on her chest. And in the blink of an eye, it was fully charged, killing the terrifying mutant rat on the spot with a single blow. It turns out that just now, my survival of the fittest talent had devoured a piece of the Ghost Shadow Squid meat's life essence, but the talent codex only unlocked by a fraction of a percent. At the market price of 998 per gin, to reach 100% and obtain its talent skill, I would have to spend at least 100,000. Although the price is a bit steep, the Ghost Shadow Squid's ability is to dissolve and disappear in water. If I could obtain that ability, it would definitely be worth it. Besides, with my current finances, this is the only kind of beast meat I can afford. But I definitely can't ask my family for this huge sum of money. I'll have to find a way to earn it myself. Then I remembered that I bought the meat to verify if it would spoil after its life essence was absorbed. After absorbing all the life essence from that piece of meat, I saw that its quality hadn't changed at all. This discovery made me so excited that I almost bumped into a passerby. I was so focused on absorbing the life essence that I forgot to watch where I was going. Just then, Manhua suddenly pointed into the distance. Look, it's Teacher Strawberry. I looked in the direction she was pointing. I saw a group of police officers up ahead, trying to persuade a criminal to drop his weapon, while the captain signaled for the officers beside him not to open fire randomly. He's using the hostage as a shield and is constantly moving. Firing now could easily harm the hostage. But Ah Bing suggested that dragging this out could put the hostage in danger, and asked if they should try using sleeping gas. Unexpectedly, the captain sternly rejected the proposal. No, sleeping gas is too obvious. If we provoke the criminal before it takes effect, it could easily cause him to do something drastic. Just then, I picked up a rock from the ground. With my throw, the rock flew with perfect precision past Ah Bing's ear, and directly hit the criminal's knife-wielding hand. Seeing his chance, the captain immediately signaled for the officers to move in and make the arrest. The entire rescue operation went smoothly. The criminal was quickly subdued. Seeing that Teacher Strawberry was okay, I quickly motioned for Han to go home with me. But I didn't expect the sharp-eyed captain to suddenly shout at me, "Hey, stop. Kid, were you the one who threw that rock?" Not wanting to cause any trouble, I quickly waved my hands and denied it. It wasn't me. Seeing me bolt, the captain was suddenly confused. That's strange. Why wouldn't he want to admit to doing a good deed? There's a reward for acts of heroism, you know. Hearing the word, reward, I immediately stopped in my tracks, then sprinted back even faster. Then, I shamelessly spoke up. I suddenly remembered that I was actually the one who threw that rock earlier. The captain was instantly speechless. You kid, come back to the station with me and give a statement. I'll help you apply for the reward money. After that, Han and I told our families we were going to the police station to give a statement, and then we parked and locked our bikes at the park. Just as I was about to get in the car to head to the station and collect the first income I'd ever earned in my life, as expected, the unexpected happened. That heretic's body suddenly began to mutate. He then transformed into a giant mutant rat. It turns out he was a heretic all along. He was showing symptoms of mutation, in the process of transforming into a giant mutant rat. Before anyone could react, the mutant rat pounced on the female police officer and knocked her down. Seeing this, the captain quickly grabbed his device to call for backup, while the other officers drew their service weapons and opened fire on the mutant rat. I didn't hesitate for a second to grab Teacher Strawberry and Han. Then I turned around and bolted. Clearly, escaping with our lives was the top priority now. Luckily, my reflexes were quick enough, and the mutant rat didn't chase after us. Just as I was secretly breathing a sigh of relief, a cyborg suddenly flew over my head. Then, I saw the female cyborg land a kick right on the mutant rat's face. That single kick sent the mutant rat flying back more than 10 meters. Then, the woman quickly opened the armor on her chest. She began to charge her laser cannon. Her charging speed was incredibly fast. Suddenly, 2 purple laser beams shot out, giving the mutant rat no chance to dodge. After being hit by the lasers, its flesh and blood rapidly dissolved, until it was ultimately annihilated in the beams. It turned into gray smoke. I was completely stunned by the scene. This cyborg was way too strong. But thankfully, the fight didn't damage my bike. Otherwise, that would have been a huge loss. Then, I noticed that the piece of Ghost Shadow Squid meat had spoiled. I couldn't help but feel secretly disappointed by this. It seems that after its life essence is absorbed, the meat still spoils, it's just delayed. I'll have to come up with an excuse to explain why the meat went bad. So, I just threw the beast meat on the ground. Damn it, it's all this heretic's fault. The cyborg's attack earlier was too intense. It cooked the meat and made it spoil. We originally wanted to go home first, but at the captain's request, we still got into the police car to go back to the station and give our statements. But what I didn't expect was, the heretic's body was also in the car, although there was nothing left but a pile of charred remains. The smell was still overpowering. But then, a bold idea suddenly popped into my head. The beast tooth from before still had some life essence left in it. So, could there be some in this body, too? Did I devour the Rat King gene from its body? Before, I only had to touch a tentacle, and that caused it to lose its life essence, making the meat rot. That's because I had activated a terrifying talent that allows me to devour the life essence of mutant beasts. Now, with the mutant rat's ashes piled in front of me, I couldn't help but feel the urge to devour its essence. I then secretly reached out and touched the remains of the giant mutant rat. In an instant, a powerful surge of life force flooded into my body. This absorption was much more intense than any before. Just this pile of ashes in front of me raised the progress of my giant mutant rat codex to 5%. From this, I deduced that freshness is directly proportional to the amount of absorbable life essence. A short while later, I was at the public security team's office. The captain first told me that he had already applied for my reward money. But he also asked, from such a long distance, in such dim light, how did a middle school student manage to hit the heretic's hand with a rock? I had no choice but to explain that it was probably because I train my right hand often. Before the captain could say anything else, Han arrived with my parents, model. The moment my mom saw me, she rushed over and hugged me right there in public. Seeing her reaction, I quickly told her I was fine and that I would even be getting a reward for my heroic actions. But my mom grabbed my hand and pleaded with me, begging me to hide somewhere safe first the next time I encounter danger. Because all your mom wants is to see you grow up safe and sound. I was so moved that I took her arm as we left. I promised that I would definitely protect myself from now on. As we walked out of the security team's station, I overheard news that the rat god cult was getting more and more audacious. They said it has even infiltrated the universities now. They mainly prey on the academically focused students who can't qualify for gene fusion through official channels. The person killed tonight was one of those students from Guangyan University who was brainwashed by the rat god cult. But that's just treating the symptoms, not the root cause. To eradicate it completely, you have to take down the self-proclaimed god, the Rat King. So, on my way home, I used my phone to search for information about the rat god cult. It turns out the rat god cult's main base is right here in Shanghai City, and its members are mostly social outcasts. Suddenly, I had a bold theory. Perhaps the so-called Rat King wants to evolve into a higher life form. That must be why it has its followers gather massive amounts of evolutionary resources for it. Could this Rat King have already developed sentience? Just then, my sharp eyes spotted a rat that was bigger than a cat. Could this also be related to the Rat King? I quickly dismissed the thought. After all, this is the South. It's normal for rats to be as big as cats here. Then I noticed that Han, who was beside me, was being unusually quiet. So I couldn't help but wonder, could it be that situation again? Whenever Han gets nervous or something unexpected happens, she can't hold it in, just like when we were kids. But I always feel like her condition might be related to some kind of unknown potential. However, when my mom found out I'd lost the meat, her expression instantly turned grim. I could only explain that the situation had been urgent. I couldn't worry about the meat then. But my mom didn't blame me. Just as I was feeling relieved that I had smoothed things over, my dad suddenly said he wanted to go to the scene to see if he could find the meat. I had to use every trick in the book to stop him. Meanwhile, the security team captain was still pondering how I managed to throw a rock with that much power. But a piercing squeal from a rat interrupted his thoughts. He looked toward the sound, and saw an enormous, giant rat. The rat lunged straight at him. But the captain quickly opened fire, easily killing it on the spot. Although I went to class as usual the next day, I was still thinking about what happened last night. Compared to last night's Ratman and the female cyborg, I'm still too weak. It looks like I need to make money fast to fill up the unlock progress bar for the ghostly shadow squid. But relying only on prize money from school competitions is too slow. So, I thought about becoming an internet famous study guru or selling tutorials through live streaming. Although that would bring in money very quickly, it's just too high profile. I soon realized my thinking was all wrong. This world is filled with people who have gene fusions and cybernetic enhancements. Martial skills are clearly valued far more than academics. The prize money for martial arts competitions must be much higher than for academic ones. So, I secretly made a decision. It was time to get moving. With that, I went to the gymnasium and found Teacher Guo, who was taking a water break. Seeing my sudden visit, Teacher Guo immediately got excited and asked if I wanted to join the martial arts team. However, I lowered my voice and asked, I'd like to ask about something. After joining the martial arts team, is there a chance to participate in the city-level martial arts competitions? Teacher Guo immediately puffed out his chest with a proud look and said, of course, there's a chance. And the prize money isn't low. A single award can be worth tens of thousands. Hearing that, I grabbed Teacher Guo's hand and declared that starting today, I was a member of the martial arts team. The campus belle, my upperclassman, personally squeezed a bottle of milk for me to drink, but without a second thought, I grabbed my childhood friend and left. I never expected that this move of mine would unexpectedly trigger the 4th talent attribute mission. A short while ago, in order to earn prize money to buy beast meat and fill my collection's progress bar, I chose to join the school's martial arts team. Next, the teacher called the team members to assemble. Everyone started going around and introducing themselves, so I said hello to them as well. Since I had never practiced martial arts before, Master Guo demonstrated some punching and kicking techniques for me. After he finished his demonstration, Master Guo gestured for me to give it a try. Then, I focused and started repeating the movements I had just seen. Thanks to my innate genius, I have a photographic memory. Master Guo's movements were already seared into my mind, so I easily replicated his techniques. And as I practiced, my various stats were also slowly increasing. Master Guo, who was watching from the side, couldn't help but exclaim that it was impossible, because it takes other students at least a week to learn. But I had mastered it effortlessly after seeing it just once. At that moment, Master Guo couldn't take his eyes off me. He thought I was a once-in-a-generation martial arts prodigy. The scene changes. Mom called me over for dinner, and I rushed over with my bowl in hand. Mom proudly presented the ghost shadow bird squid she had painstakingly prepared. As soon as I caught a whiff of that incredible aroma, I couldn't help but exclaim how good it smelled. Then, I eagerly took a bite. Mom rushed over and asked how it tasted. I quickly told her that her cooking was, as always, the best in the world. However, what I didn't expect was that I could also devour things by directly eating beast meat. Just then, a news report on TV caught my attention. A headline read, "Teenage Prodigy Shocks the Nation." At just 14 years old, she successfully merged with an energy heart, becoming the youngest cyborg in history. When her power is activated, she can easily lift 2,000 kilograms with one hand and sprint 100 meters in just 3 seconds. Her standing vertical jump is a staggering 8 meters. I couldn't help but wonder, between the Kyoto child prodigy of the past and this new teenage genius, who is stronger? Then, another news story came on. A tragic one. Public security captain He Chunshan tragically died in his office at 11 o'clock last night, killed by a giant mutant rat that had infiltrated the station. My expression changed in an instant. Could it have been one of those giant rats I encountered last night? To protect myself, I started training like my life depended on it. My 100-meter sprint time quickly dropped to 4 seconds, and my vertical jump reached 5.5 meters. I could also lift 1,000 kilograms with one hand, and I kept up with my martial arts training. I was preparing for the upcoming martial arts competition. Early the next morning, I was getting ready to go to the gym to continue my training and learn some new techniques. Out of curiosity, Han decided to come with me. But unexpectedly, an upperclassman suddenly appeared in front of me. She asked if I'd eaten breakfast and said, "I brought you some milk." It's fresh milk, you know. But I just grabbed Han and started walking away, leaving only a "thanks for the offer" behind me. This whole scene was witnessed by a simp of an upperclassman. Damn it, it was bad enough that this kid stole my championship at the school sports meet. But now he's rejecting a gift from my goddess. I'm going to teach him a lesson. So, he blocked my path and accused me of being rude just now. But I just told him I'm allergic to milk. Furious, he challenged me to a fight right then and there. I was about to refuse, but then a quest notification suddenly popped up. Quest. In a formal competitive setting, eliminate a cumulative total of 1,000 different opponents using the most primitive biological method. Reward. Gain the biological attribute, survival of the fittest. With a system quest and a reward on the line, I accepted the challenge without hesitation. News of our duel spread quickly, attracting a large crowd of female upperclassmen. Everyone was curious to see the fighting skills of the guy who came in first at the sports meet. A classmate named Feng Wei was even blushing as she cheered me on. Even the upperclassman who brought me the milk took out her phone, saying she wanted to get some cool shots of me. The simp upperclassman was furious. Looks like they all think I'm going to lose. This genius underclassman hasn't even hit his growth spurt yet. I need to take advantage of my size and crush him now. Seeing him grinning like an idiot, I was left speechless. I've got to get home for dinner. Can we just get this over with? Hearing this, the senior immediately laughed out loud. I'll grant your wish. Seeing we were in a hurry, Teacher Guo immediately waved his hand, signaling the start of the match. But the senior suddenly shouted, "Wait a minute. You've only been here for a month. To be fair, I'll let you have the first 3 moves." Hearing this, I immediately rushed in front of him and then threw a sudden punch. With just one punch, the simping senior was sent flying. After he landed, the simping senior was already foaming at the mouth. Completely passed out. This made Teacher Guo's jaw drop. It actually ended in one punch? I just casually threw one punch, and it made the ice queen of the school scream over and over. Even my childhood sweetheart couldn't help but exclaim how cool I was, all because I took down the simping senior with a single blow. Everyone on the martial arts team was so shocked their jaws dropped. Although I gained priority with the girls because of this, I still wasn't satisfied, because to complete the system's mission, I still had to eliminate 999 opponents. Then, I turned to the other senior students beside me and asked if any of them wanted to spar. Hearing this, the senior students flinched and immediately started making excuses to slip away. Meanwhile, the simping senior struggled to his feet, saying he refused to accept the result and wanted a rematch. However, Teacher Guo said, "Zhang Kai, you have to accept your defeat. We'll have little Li test Sichen's strength, and then it'll be clear to everyone." Little Lee, you're up. Little Lee, who was just about to sneak away, jumped in fright. With no other choice, he had to get into a stance and force himself to fight. Though I always went easy on them before taking them down, the system only recorded the time I defeated Zhang Kai, so that meant sparring was useless. Then, Teacher Guo suddenly clapped a heavy hand on my shoulder. Sicken, you're the team's ace now. At this year's district martial arts tournament, we can definitely take first place. Hearing this, I couldn't help but get excited. Wouldn't participating in the martial arts tournament be a direct way to defeat a lot of opponents? As long as I successfully defeat opponents in the competition, I'll definitely be able to make progress on the achievement mission. I know perfectly well that in this world, you either pursue martial arts or academics. And the martial arts program is definitely the top choice. In order to get into the program, Han also started training with me. After a 3,000-meter jog, we'd practice martial arts techniques for an hour to improve our fighting skills. After that, we'd do sit-ups and push-ups to build strength and physical endurance. And after every training session, I would help her massage her muscles to relax. But to prepare for the upcoming martial arts tournament, I chose to double my training regimen. Also, I could unlock the survival of the fittest attribute sooner. Time flew by. A month later, the day of the martial arts tournament finally arrived. But unfortunately, we were matched against the strongest team, Shanghai No. 1 High School. Rumor has it, they have a monster on their team this year who can run the 100-meter dash in under 9 seconds. Everyone thought we were definitely going to get crushed. However, I stepped forward and said I wanted to go first. Teacher Guo readily agreed, since he had a lot of faith in me. Han and Teacher Guo immediately started cheering me on, but my opponent turned out to be a giant, at least 1.9 meters tall. The moment he stepped up, he mocked me for being a shorty and said he was about to show me the real meaning of a gap in size and strength. With the referee's signal to begin, the big guy immediately charged at me. But I dodged his attack with ease. Then, I lightly tapped my palm against his chest. The next moment, his entire body was sent flying backwards, flying out of the ring and crashing to the ground. The referee immediately declared me the winner of the match. Han immediately started cheering from the audience, and her teammates instantly shook off their earlier despondence. She said the other team was all useless muscle, while their coach furiously stressed the importance of technique. In a fight, you can't just charge in blindly. You have to use technique. Meanwhile, I was thrilled because that last victory had just boosted my mission progress a little. At that moment, the opposing coach signaled to their team's strongest member, Chen Feng, to take me down as fast as possible. Then, the fighter named Chen Feng stepped up to face me. As the referee announced the start of the match, Chen Feng immediately charged forward, spinning at high speed. He raised his leg for a roundhouse kick aimed at my head, but I simply dodged it with a casual squat. Then, with a single palm strike, I sent Chen Feng flying backward like a spinning top. He flew out of the ring again, landing hard on the ground. My consecutive easy victories immediately drew complaints from the audience. How is that kid from Shanghai High so lucky? His last opponent lost by running out of the ring on his own, and now this one did too. It's definitely a fixed match. Give us our money back. The opposing coach saw what was really going on. This wasn't luck. That young fighter was just too strong. Then, he said through gritted teeth, "Gao Fei, it's all up to you now. Focus on defense. Don't take the offensive. You absolutely cannot lose." But Gao Fei walked onto the stage with a look of complete composure. He declared that he would definitely win. He already had a strategy in mind. This Lin Zicken isn't physically strong, he's just more agile. He just knows how to use cheap tricks in a fight. With my speed of 100 meters in 9 seconds, there's no way I can lose. Soon after, the referee raised his hand and announced the start of the match. Guangguan Comics commentary. Immediately, Gao Fei rushed toward me and unleashed his strongest technique. Flowing water rock shattering fist. This drove his coach absolutely mad. "What are you doing?" Guangguan Comics commentary. "I told you to focus on defense. Guanman." Meanwhile, I just dodged without fighting back. Guangguan Comics commentary. "It was only because I found this technique somewhat interesting." Guangguan Comics commentary. "I plan to observe and learn from it." Guangguan Comics commentary. "The principal was so desperate to keep me that he said he'd grant any of my requests." Faced with my pitiful-looking childhood friend, I ultimately chose to remain her deskmate. Just a moment ago, I was facing the onslaught of the flowing water rock shattering fist. I chose to dodge while I observed and learned. Before long, Gao Fei started to panic. He couldn't even touch me. So he stopped and asked me point blank, "Why can you dodge all my attacks?" But I just gave him an indifferent look and gestured for him to use his other moves. Gao Fei thought I was mocking him and immediately exploded with an even more ferocious barrage of punches. Seeing that this was the only move Gao Fei knew, I suddenly grew bored. So, I threw a flying kick to end the match, a move that left the entire audience stunned. My record of defeating 3 opponents in a row had my teammates clapping and cheering. The opponents that followed were all weaker than the last. Soon, I had dealt with all 5 members from Shanghai No. 1 Middle School. Over the next 2 days of the competition, I single-handedly defeated the other 2 schools. In the end, I successfully led Shanghai High to become the champions of the 8-school league. The number of opponents I had eliminated totaled 16, but I was still a long way from completing my mission. Although the mission couldn't be completed anytime soon, Teacher Guo gave me the full 20,000 in prize money from the competition. Combined with my long-term savings, I now had a grand total of 30,000. The first thing I did was go to the supermarket and buy a huge pile of ghostly shadow squid meat. After devouring 30 jin of the beast's meat, my ghostly shadow squid progress increased to 33%. After entering my second year of junior high, I also broke through to the 4th ordinary rank. I could lift 1,090 kilograms with a single hand. My vertical leap was as high as 5.5 meters, and I could run the 100-meter dash in just 4.4 seconds. Time flew by, and Han and I successfully graduated from Zhongshan High Middle School. Soon after, the high school entrance exam results came out. I ranked first in the entire district in both academics and martial arts. Although Han's academic scores were good, her martial arts score didn't meet the cutoff for Shanghai High School's elite martial arts class. She was really dejected, feeling like she wouldn't be able to continue going to school with me. But I just pulled her along and said, "Don't worry. My only condition for staying at Shanghai High is that you have to be my desk mate." As it happened, the principal of Shanghai High was visiting my home at that very moment, basically to express his hope that I would continue my studies there. Before he left, the principal also said that as long as I continued at Shanghai High, I could voice any request I had. So, I quickly told him I hoped Han could stay in the same class as me. The principal couldn't help but lean over curiously to look at Han, then he turned around and said with a smile, "When school starts, you two can come register together." Hearing that, we both hurriedly thanked the principal. After settling on a high school, I had my final middle school martial arts tournament. As expected, I easily helped Zhongshan High Middle School win the championship again. After getting the prize money, I decided to finally fulfill my wish. I was only 20% away from completely unlocking the Ghost Shadow Squid Atlas. The meat I bought with the prize money should be enough to fill the progress bar. Since I didn't know what would happen after unlocking it, I chose to come out to the forest. Then, I quickly began to devour the beast meat. Just as I expected, after absorbing it all, the Atlas's progress smoothly reached 100%. Then, a notification sound chimed. "You have successfully activated the Ghost Shadow Squid Atlas. Obtained biological attribute, Water Fusion. Greatly enhances affinity with water. Allows for free and traceless movement in water." After reading the description, I couldn't help but feel this talent was a bit underwhelming. So, I quickly went to a nearby pond to test it out. I noticed that when I swam, the water resistance felt significantly weaker. Other than that, there were no other effects. Then again, the Ghost Shadow Squid is a low-level exotic beast with almost no gene fusion value. Getting an ability like this is actually pretty normal. If I want to get better biological attributes, I'll get them sooner or later by saving up money. Or, once I get stronger, I can hunt and devour wild exotic beasts, like those giant rats. After that, my mom and Han's family decided to go on a trip together. To better study my water attribute, I suggested we take a vacation at the beach. This was also Han's first time seeing the ocean. She stood in the water, only thinking that the seawater was very cold. But as for me, I started swimming, and at the same time, my various stats began to increase. Seeing this, Han sighed helplessly. "Hey, don't just swim by yourself. Come and teach me." I suddenly remembered that Han didn't know how to swim, so I began to teach her patiently. But because her athletic talent is just average, I figured she probably wouldn't be able to learn. But as it turned out, the moment she started trying, she easily learned how to swim. Then, she put her head under the water and was amazed to find that she could actually dive. She quickly popped out of the water. "Xiao Chen, I'm so good at this. I've always heard people say it's hard to open your eyes in the ocean. That it stings and hurts a lot. But I don't feel anything at all. It actually feels cool and really comfortable. My childhood friend wets her pants whenever she gets nervous. I always thought it was due to some physical defect. But I never expected her to learn how to swim so easily on her first try, or to feel no discomfort at all when diving." Seeing this, I couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Even someone who's a natural in the water couldn't possibly perform like this. This is too abnormal. Wait a second. Could it be because of that? Could the reason Han always wet the bed be because she has a natural affinity for water? This is incredible. Maybe Han had a special cultivation physique in a past life, like in one of those cultivation novels. To test my theory, I went diving with Han. However, her performance shocked me once again. Even after we were underwater for over 10 minutes, she didn't feel any discomfort at all. But then, Han suddenly sensed that something was wrong. She was confused about a strange sound in the water. The sound put her on high alert, and she quickly urged me to swim to the surface with her. After we got ashore, I couldn't help but ask curiously what had just happened. "Why did you suddenly get so tense?" she replied, still a bit shaken. I suddenly heard a very strange sound in my ear. It was so strange it was almost terrifying. But I couldn't understand what it was. It might have been a language I don't know. I just know it was a woman's voice. The sound was so real. It kept echoing in my ears and only disappeared after I surfaced. After that, we returned to the hotel to rest for a bit, and then I did some searching on my phone. But I didn't find any useful information. Feeling helpless, I just decided to work out instead. Unexpectedly, I leveled up to the ordinary 5th rank, which means I now have the strength to contend with an adult mutant rat. As long as I keep training, tearing mutant rats apart with my bare hands might not be impossible. Afterwards, I went to a deserted beach for a test. I can now run the 100-meter dash in just 3.6 seconds. My vertical jump can reach 7 meters, and I can lift 1,600 kilograms with a single hand. Next, my high school career began. Fortunately, on the day I was on duty, I actually triggered a new mission achievement. Under the condition of multi-person cooperation, complete 1,000 tasks cumulatively. The reward is acquiring the biological attribute, social animal. Since school had just started, there wasn't much to do. I took advantage of the free time and went to the supermarket again. Now it was time to set a new goal. Suddenly, I noticed a type of mutant beast meat I'd never seen before, the Baofeng Great Eagle. One catty was only 1,998 yuan. This price was exactly within a range I could afford. I'll choose this one. The mutant beast, the Baofeng Great Eagle, is a slightly higher level beast than the ghost shadow squid. Its vision can be 30 times that of a normal person, making it incredibly powerful. Therefore, its hunting ability is extremely strong. It can even accurately capture mutant rabbits that move so fast they become a blur. If one's vision becomes good enough, it can greatly enhance their combat power. This Baofeng Great Eagle is undoubtedly worth devouring. Plus, its price is the second cheapest. I then placed my hand on the eagle meat. The moment its life essence was devoured, the progress for the Baofeng Great Eagle immediately rose to 1%. One catty of meat increases the progress by 1%. By my calculation, it would take over 200,000 to fill up the atlas. For the rest of my high school career, I'll have to compete even harder to save up money. After all, the prize money from high school martial arts competitions is higher than in middle school. I have to try to light up this Baofeng Great Eagle's atlas before my second year. Summer vacation ended, and I officially began my high school career. On the first day of the new semester, the head teacher and the subject teachers came to the classroom to introduce themselves. There was the martial arts cultivation teacher, Han Yuanfeng, who was also our head teacher. The mechanical modification teacher, Kai Yunfei, and the wilderness survival teacher, Cheng Bei. And the gene fusion teacher, Liu Darren. After that, it was the students' turn to introduce themselves. Soon, it was Han-Han's turn. Being watched by so many people, Shen Qinghan was extremely nervous. Hello, everyone, my name is Shen Qinghan. I like to draw. That's all. I hope we can all get along. My self-introduction was probably the shortest in the whole class. Hello, everyone, my name is Lin Zicken. I hope we can all get along. Just as everyone finished their introductions, the bell for the end of class rang. Han, what did you score on the high school entrance exam? It was a girl with pigtails next to her who asked. Han couldn't help but answer a little timidly. I got 709 points, Chu Xin. What about you? Upon hearing this, Chu Xin's eyes immediately lit up. That's amazing. I only got 698. So what was your score on the fitness test? I didn't do so well and only got 95. Han was instantly embarrassed, saying her score wasn't as good, because the fitness test was out of 100 points. She had only scored 79 on her fitness test. It was a score she couldn't bring herself to say out loud. But Chu Xin pressed on relentlessly. So what did you get? Was it 94, or 93? Seeing that Han-Han's expression had turned extremely sour, I stepped in, slamming my hand on the desk, then deliberately leaned in close to Chu Xin and asked. Hey, can I get your contact info? Chu Xin immediately blushed and said, okay, I'll scan your code. Han immediately looked at me gratefully. Then, I turned to another boy, Yu. I added him as a friend and then quickly created a group chat for the four of us. To my surprise, this actually met the criteria for completing a task with multiple people. In that case, this achievement mission is practically a freebie. To encourage students to take exams seriously, the teacher was actually handing out money. The first, second, and third place students would all receive huge rewards. This reward immediately sparked my desire to earn money to buy beast meat. As it turned out, just a moment ago, when I casually created a 4-person group chat, I unexpectedly completed a multi-person task. After that, the few of us got to know each other. Yu's family has run martial arts dojos for generations. He's the young master of a martial arts family, while Li Chuxin's family owns a clothing store. They have several branches in the district, so she's a bona fide rich girl. After Han and I introduced ourselves, we quickly became a tight-knit group that could talk about anything. Suddenly, Yu brought up a curious topic. Guess who's the strongest in our class? Li Chuxin immediately pointed at me. I bet it's Si Chen. He's the strongest. He was the top scorer on the entrance exam in our district. Yu was instantly shocked. But he quickly turned serious and warned, there are 2 tough guys in our class. The principal paid a fortune to poach them from Nangan City. That guy in the third row from the left, by the window, is named Wang Shujia. He was the third place scorer on the entrance exam in Nangan City. His 100-meter dash time is 7.9 seconds. Then there's that big guy named Lu Gang sitting in the far right of the back row. That guy has superhuman strength. He can easily lift a 300-kilogram barbell with one hand. Han and Shu Xin were instantly impressed, though they didn't fully get it. Meanwhile, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Those stats were at my level back in elementary school. The school bell rang again soon after. Next up was handing out textbooks. There were only 4 books, one for each of the 4 main subjects. Since I had already self-studied all of this when I was a kid, during free time, I found a secluded spot to train. After all, the rat god cult was putting immense pressure on me. The police have only managed to catch 1 cultist so far. Right now, I have to do everything I can to level up to the 6th rank or higher. Only then will I have the power to protect myself. The first practical class in the afternoon was wilderness survival. The teacher asked directly if anyone knew how to make a fire by drilling wood. Yu immediately couldn't help but complain. What era is this? What normal person knows how to do that? However, without a word, Wang Shujia and Lu Gang stepped forward and started furiously drilling wood. The teacher was quite surprised by this. He didn't expect these two to be so skilled. The two of them immediately said proudly that they had already learned it back in elementary and middle school. After the two of them finished showing off, everyone else finally started practicing. I quickly taught my new friends the technique for making fire. After that was the martial arts cultivation class. Today, we're learning a special breathing cultivation technique. Then, the duo started showing off again, while I kept a low profile, not planning on interacting with them much. Soon, more than a month of the school year had passed, and the head teacher decided to test the students' learning progress. To motivate everyone, the head teacher announced that there would be a reward for this exam. First place would receive a reward of 888. Hearing this, I instantly perked up. That prize money could buy half a pound of ferocious condor meat. Because there was a reward, everyone was fired up to take the test. Coincidentally, the gene fusion teacher also scheduled an exam, with the exact same reward. After 2 exams, Yu was already wiped out. However, the bragging duo started patting each other on the back, saying they didn't perform well and could only score 95 points. Hearing their humble bragging, Yu immediately felt the urge to punch them both. The first scores to be announced were for the mechanical modification test. Han got exactly 61 points, just hitting the passing mark. Meanwhile, Yu got what was currently the highest score, 88 points. The other students gasped in amazement. Yu sat up perfectly straight, feeling absolutely ecstatic inside, but the teacher's next words poured a bucket of cold water on him. Lu Gang and Wang Shuji, 95 points. You two only missed the very last question. The pair immediately put on an act, saying the last question required a lot of calculation. If we just had 10 more minutes, we could have figured out the answer. Yu was instantly annoyed. They'd managed to show off again. Then, the teacher gave a slight smile. This exam was very difficult. But you might not believe this, someone in our class got a perfect score. Lin Zicken, 100 points. As soon as he said this, the bragging duo's composure completely shattered. A perfect score? How on earth did he manage that? Yu was just as shocked. I couldn't believe I'd actually managed to take down the 2 top students. As for me, I just raised my hand and asked, "Teacher, when will the prize money for first place be given out?" The teacher was speechless for a moment. "Don't worry, I'll send it as a special red envelope to the class group chat." Next were the results for the gene fusion exam. The duo only scored in the 80s. For most students, that was already impressive, but the two of them were clearly not satisfied. Han surprisingly got 78 points, making it into the top 5. And as for me, I steadily scored another perfect 100, pocketing the prize money once again. I had just sent a female classmate off the stage with a single palm strike, but unexpectedly, it prompted a crowd of other female students to eagerly challenge me. They even ignored the immense strength I had displayed, fighting to be the next to challenge me. Just a moment ago, I had scored perfect scores in 2 consecutive subjects, which was a huge blow to the top students in the class. The 2 show-offs, in particular, simultaneously questioned how I could have possibly gotten a perfect score. Could it be that you knew the answers in advance? The teacher immediately said that was impossible. Because he had designed the entire test paper himself, the answers couldn't be found anywhere online. There was no way to cheat. Seeing the duo look so defeated, everyone else burst out laughing. The lunch break passed in a flash. Next up was the afternoon's wilderness survival exam, which also had a prize. The exam consisted of climbing, which included tree climbing, swimming, and starting a fire by drilling wood. Wang Shuji immediately whispered that they had to redeem themselves in wilderness survival and martial arts cultivation. Lu Gang felt the same way, saying he would definitely go all out later to avenge their previous shame. The first test was rock climbing, with scores determined by climbing speed. I easily took first place. In tree climbing, I also left the 2 champions far behind me. But I was more concerned about Han, who, unsurprisingly, finished in last place. Next was the fire making by friction challenge. I managed to start a fire in just 58 seconds. The last event was swimming. Not only did I completely crush the two champions the entire time, but even Han burst out with a speed they couldn't even dream of. After a series of tests, the two champions suddenly became unusually quiet. Next up was the martial arts test. The method of testing was to spar with one another. This rekindled the two champions' hope of taking first place. You have to understand, the martial arts class values combat above all else. It's a competition of physical fitness and martial arts techniques. If your martial arts skills aren't up to par, any other achievements are basically useless. Before the sparring began, the teacher first arranged a physical fitness test for the class. I did a light warm-up for the 100-meter dash and still ran it in 7 seconds. I lifted 330 kilograms with one hand. My standing high jump was 2.1 meters, and that was with me holding back to keep a low profile. These results still stunned them. For a district champion to have scores like these was completely unheard of. However, they didn't give up. Losing the physical test didn't mean they'd lose in a spar. After all, their martial arts skills far surpassed their peers. They still had a chance. Afterwards, everyone moved to the fighting ring. The sparring began. In order to complete the natural selection achievement as quickly as possible, I was the first to step into the ring. But because my physical test scores were so good, no one dared to come up. The teacher, however, had no patience. He directly called out a name, Lu Wei. Get up there and spar with Zikin. Although Lu Wei was very reluctant, he still nervously stepped into the ring. To save time, I had to end it quickly. I sent him flying out of the ring with a single punch. Moreover, to get through everyone in the class before it ended, I knocked out every single opponent with one hit. Seeing that I didn't even spare the female students, the two champions were completely dumbfounded. But unexpectedly, Yu suddenly jumped into another ring. He pointed at Lu Gang and said, I'm all warmed up. Do you dare to come up here and fight me? Lu Gang jumped into the ring without hesitation and then laughed. I'll have you on the ground in 30 seconds. Hearing this, Yu immediately charged towards Lu Gang, unleashing a barrage of punches and kicks on him. But Lu Gang quickly found an opportunity to grab his leg. Then, with both hands, he flung Yu into the air. Then, with a powerful throw, Yu went flying out of the ring. Lu Gang immediately said smugly, Yu, of all the people I've fought, your fighting style is the most impressive. When it comes to hand combat, I'd call you the strongest in the class. Too bad I'm still a cut above. Seeing this, he quickly jumped into the ring. It was the perfect opportunity to make a little more progress. Although Lu Gang was panicking, he forced himself to look calm and said, Bring it on, who's afraid of you? He then took the initiative and charged forward. As he got close to me, Lu Gang quickly sidestepped, using a move from an old acquaintance. However, I dodged it with a simple sidestep and then casually followed up with a punch. I won the match easily. The students below the ring immediately started to heckle. Wang Shuji, your buddy Lu Gang just got totally crushed. Aren't you going to go up there and get revenge? Unable to take the hit to his pride, Wang Shuji had no choice but to bite the bullet and jump into the ring. And I stood before Wang Shuji like an immovable mountain. Wang Shuji had no choice but to charge at me, but I caught his fist with my left hand first. Then, with a single punch from my right, I sent him flying. Just one punch was enough to make him foam at the mouth. Next, I took down the other people in the class one by one. According to the rules of the natural selection mission, beating the same opponent multiple times only counts once. That meant I could only spar with the girls next. But would the girls be willing? The result, however, was completely unexpected. The female students below didn't seem to mind sparring with me at all. In fact, they even raised their hands, volunteering to challenge me. The moment I stepped onto the platform, the girls below were buzzing with excitement. Not only were they not afraid of me being too rough, but they were even eagerly raising their hands, fighting to come on stage and face me. As soon as she got on stage, the female student lunged at me, but she wasn't faster than my dodge. Then, I casually slapped her on the back, and the student fell to the ground with a look of regret on her face. It was because her only reason for challenging me was to get a hug. Next up, to my surprise, the other girls also volunteered to come up on stage and challenge me. Of course, I held back against the girls. My main goal was to complete the mission as quickly as possible. Soon, I had fought all the girls, but I was still far from completing the mission. I was starting to feel a little disappointed, but then the teacher suddenly announced some good news. A month from now, our class will challenge the strongest regular class in the second year. I couldn't help but feel secretly delighted. I was just worrying about how to speed up my progress on the natural selection task. It was like getting a pillow just when you're feeling sleepy. According to the teacher's match schedule, as the elite class, we were to start challenging those above us. Completing the natural selection mission within the year didn't seem impossible anymore. Besides, I had already earned over 3,000 in scholarship money today alone. I could use it to buy more beast meat. After getting home that night, I started typing away at my keyboard. Although I had won some prize money today, It was still a long way from being enough to max out the Atlas's progress bar. So, to earn more money, I opened a novel author account and began my writing career. But I never expected that when I woke up, I would find a contract offer from the website. After logging into the author dashboard and signing the contract, a news story from that day caught my eye. Just 2 hours earlier, a giant mutant rat had attacked a refrigerated beast meat warehouse on the outskirts of the city. This giant mutant rat was over 5 meters long. It bit a cyborg's body in two with a single bite. The cyborg immediately activated its hidden backup power source to self-destruct and take the enemy with it. The giant mutant rat was killed instantly in the explosion. After reading this, I couldn't help but frown. Just how many giant mutant rats are hiding in Shanghai City? And besides, with these giant mutant rats being so huge, where on earth could they be hiding to have remained undiscovered for so long? A month later, at the Shanghai High School gymnasium. Today was the day of our match against the second-year regular class. The teacher was discussing strategy with a few of us top students. And I, wanting to complete the natural selection achievement as quickly as possible, requested to go first. However, the female student on the opposing team wasn't happy about it. Teacher, they're sending out their strongest member right at the start, and I'm the weakest in our class. How am I supposed to fight that? The opposing teacher's expression also darkened. The rules state that the weakest goes first. Why did you send up your strongest student? Teacher Han had no choice but to calm me down and have the weakest student go up first. I could only purse my lips and reluctantly step down from the stage. Then, Teacher Han pointed to a female student, Yuntong. You go first. But the student frantically waved her hands, saying she wasn't ready yet. Just then, Han suddenly stepped forward, saying she was actually the weakest on the team. With that, Han went up to the ring, but she seemed very nervous. Her teammates immediately started cheering for her from below the stage, but Han only felt more self-conscious. Meanwhile, the girl on the other side seized the opportunity and rushed forward. Faced with her opponent's relentless barrage of punches, Han could only raise her arms to block. Even if she couldn't win, she had to hold on for as long as possible to drain her opponent's energy. After attacking non-stop for 2.5 minutes, the long-haired girl was already gasping for air. Wanting to end it quickly, she suddenly gathered her strength and swung a heavy punch, sending Han flying out of the ring. She landed hard on the floor below. Then, Han quickly got up and ran over to me. Teacher Han, however, was very pleased with Han's performance. Qinghan, you did well. You knew to focus on defense, to wear down your opponent's stamina. That was very smart. I also chimed in with encouragement, lasting for more than 3 minutes against an upperclassman. That's great progress. Then, the second female student went up. She wanted to take advantage of her opponent's low stamina to win the match quickly. The student charged forward and immediately threw a sweeping kick, but unexpectedly, the upperclassman easily dodged it with a simple sidestep. She didn't even graze her clothes. Then, the upperclassman seized the chance to counterattack. A fist smashed into the student's face, and then she slammed her butt down, pinning the girl hard to the ground. The student had no choice but to tap the floor in submission. After getting up, the upperclassman said smugly, "All offense and no defense. HMPH, are you looking down on the regular class? It's true I'm not as talented as you, but I've trained a year longer. Come back and fight me after you've trained for another year." Just then, another girl walked onto the stage. Li Chuxin clenched her fists and said, Han, I'll get revenge for you. Watch me beat the crap out of that upperclassman. A 500-pound fatty called me a weakling, sparking outrage from countless fangirls. All I could do was throw a helpless punch, but unexpectedly, it shocked everyone. Just a moment ago, Han got thrashed by an upperclassman for 3 minutes and was knocked out of the ring. Li Chuxin resolutely stepped up to avenge her. As soon as she entered the ring, she unleashed a flurry of heavy punches on her opponent. Having fought 2 consecutive matches, the upperclassman was already running out of stamina. Li Chuxin claimed the victory. Seeing this, Han immediately started cheering excitedly, yelling over and over how amazing Chuxin was. Hearing this, I explained the reason why. If you hadn't worn down that upperclassman's stamina, Chuxin wouldn't have won so easily. As the fights continued, our class was quickly down to just 4 people. Han Yuanfeng, however, wasn't worried at all, because the real showdown was just getting started. These last 4 were the true powerhouses of Class 1. He then looked towards He Yu, signaling for him to go up next. He Yu immediately jumped onto the stage. Then, he cracked his knuckles and said, "My fists have been itching for a fight. Are you ready to face them?" Hearing this, the upperclassman immediately sneered. "Hey, kid, can you not be so cringy?" The words had barely left his mouth when an enraged He Yu launched a flying kick, kicking him right in the face. The upperclassman was sent flying off the stage right then and there. He Yu instantly taunted smugly, "Is that all you've got? Where do you get the nerve to insult anyone?" After he spoke, there was a thud on the stage as another person jumped up. The upperclassman with the bowl cut immediately gave a cold smile. "You little brat, you're pretty arrogant. Let me show you what a real fight is like." With that, he threw a punch at He Yu. However, He Yu dodged his punch with even greater speed and then took the opportunity to flip over. A whip kick struck the senior's chin, and the guy with the bowl cut immediately fell out of the ring. Li Chuxin and Han immediately shouted excitedly, "He Yu, you're amazing. Go for it." Next up, He Yu went on to knock down several more opponents, but the consecutive fights quickly drained his stamina. For long, he was panting heavily, yet he still acted tough. "Next one, hurry up. I can still take down 10 more." Although He Yu wanted to keep pushing, after knocking down 5 people in a row, he was clearly running out of steam and finally lost to the 6th opponent. At this point, our class only had 3 people left, while the opposing class still had 13. Next, Han Yuanfeng sent out Wang Shuji. Wang Shuji was a bit stronger than He Yu. Wang Shuji got in the ring and took down 10 people in a row. It wasn't until he faced the 11th person that Wang Shuji lost the match due to exhaustion. Next up was Liu Gang. In less than 10 minutes, he defeated 2 of their top fighters at lightning speed. Seeing this, Han Yuanfeng couldn't help but say smugly, "You only have 1 person left. How about you just give up?" The teacher on the other side replied confidently, "I wouldn't be so sure. Wang Jinhe, it's your turn." As soon as he finished speaking, a 500 Jin fatty stepped onto the platform. But Liu Gang didn't take him seriously at all. Thinking he was just an ordinary fat guy, he took the initiative and charged at Wang Jinhe with a punch. He landed a heavy punch right on Wang Jinhe's stomach, but the sensation from his fist was like hitting rubber. He couldn't believe it, so he started throwing a flurry of punches, all landing on Wang Jinhe. Now, Liu Gang finally realized something was wrong. He has too much fat. The flesh is too thick. I can't hurt him at all. Seeing Liu Gang stop, Wang Jinhe then reached out his hand. It was his turn to attack. He grabbed Liu Gang by the neck with one hand. Liu Gang immediately felt a strong sense of suffocation. Then, Wang Jinhe threw Liu Gang aside, easily winning the match. Han Yuanfeng was completely dumbfounded. "Wait a minute, where did your class find such a strong student?" The other teacher smiled smugly. "He just transferred in this semester. And don't forget, the loser has to treat the entire winning class to a meal." Han Yuanfeng immediately turned away, crying silently. He felt that no matter how good Lin Zikan was, there was no way he could beat this monster. But he still came up and patted my shoulder, and told me not to worry too much about winning or losing. I immediately gave a small smile, and said that I would definitely win. After I got on the platform, Wang Jinhe was completely stunned. "This final fighter is way too scrawny, isn't he? I'm afraid I'll kill you with one punch. You should just hurry up and give up." These words immediately angered my fangirls. "Don't get cocky, fatty. Zikan will definitely beat you." When Wang Jinhe heard this, his expression immediately turned ugly. So he said deliberately, "Junior, in a moment, I'll stand perfectly still, and let you have 10 free shots, so that afterwards, you and your little fangirls won't have any complaints." Muttering behind my back that I only won by bullying someone smaller than me. Hearing that, I quickly replied, all right. Then, Wang Jinhe patted his belly confidently. "Junior brother, don't hold back. Hit me with everything you've got." Didn't waste any time and slammed my fist right into his big belly. Wang Jinhe was immediately sent flying, before crashing hard onto the ground. At this scene, everyone was instantly speechless. Then, the students erupted in cheers. As for Wang Jinhe, he was completely dizzy. What just happened? This can't be right, it's totally unscientific. My childhood sweetheart was called a suck-up by our classmates, which made her feel really insecure. It's because she's had a secret problem with wetting her pants since she was a kid. But I told her it was her superpower. Not long ago, I took down a 500-pound senior with a single punch. My performance shocked the other team's teacher. "Zikan, you're pretty good. You're almost as good as Wu Tiancheng was in his first year," Han Yuanfeng quickly replied humbly. "Not at all. Wu Tiancheng was on another level back then." Hearing this, my curiosity got the better of me, and I walked over to ask, "Teacher, who is Wu Tiancheng?" Han Yuanfeng immediately explained excitedly, "He was a senior who graduated a few years ahead of you. When he was just a first year, he defeated the entire third-year advanced class. He ran the 100-meter dash in 6.12 seconds. His standing vertical leap was 3.96 meters, and he could lift 650 kilograms with one hand. Amazing, right?" I quickly admitted that I was stunned. After all, those stats were almost on par with my strength back in the 6th grade. Soon after, we arrived at a restaurant. As per our bet, the homeroom teacher of the losing class had to treat everyone to a meal. After defeating the second-year regular class, I became pretty well known around school. Classmates started coming up to me, trying to get friendly, which made me a bit uncomfortable. Han, though, was still the same. She was worried I'd be too busy dealing with everyone to eat. So she kept putting food in my bowl. But then, her expression suddenly froze. She immediately got up from her seat, saying she had to go to the restroom. Seeing this, I couldn't help but sigh to myself. Some things never change, like her uncontrollable bladder just as she finished and was about to leave the restroom. She overheard a conversation outside. Shen Qinghan, pouring drinks. peeling shrimp, she's really playing the part, isn't she? Acting just like a maid. But with her level of skill, how could she have gotten into our advanced class without being such a suck-up? The gap in their abilities is huge. They're destined to grow apart eventually. Han didn't hide. She interrupted them directly. I'm not a suck-up. I'm his childhood friend. With that, she turned and walked away. After the dinner was over, I could tell something was wrong with Han. Han, what's wrong? Did something happen? Han replied, a little embarrassed. When I was little, my mom always told me that I'd grow out of wetting my pants. But even now, I still do it. I have to wear a diaper every night just to fall asleep. It's so frustrating, Zicken. I feel like I'm a disabled person who can't even control their own bladder. But I firmly shut her down. You're not disabled. Being unable to hold your pee is your superpower. It's just that this superpower hasn't been fully developed yet. Hearing this, Han couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, this is my superpower? I immediately stated my theory, that's right. The reason you're so good at swimming is one manifestation of that superpower. After thinking for a moment, Han asked, well, you've been so incredible your whole life. Does that mean you have superpowers too? I nodded without any hesitation. Yes, just like you, I have superpowers. Han's face immediately lit up with anticipation, wanting to know what kind of superpower she had. I immediately encouraged her, it's definitely a very powerful one. Just then, a scream suddenly came from nearby. Don't you come over here. A few staff members tried to calm him down. Please put down the broom. We're exterminating the rats for public safety. Please cooperate with our work. However, the owner kept waving his broom to block them. Stop it. Don't kill my brothers. If you kill any more of my brothers, I'll fight you. After saying that, he charged at the public security officers with the broom. Seeing this, I quickly stood in front of Han, telling her that the man might be mentally ill. Then I took Han's hand and turned around, saying, let's go. We're going home. After we got home, I was watching the news with my parents. Last week, a young female teacher went missing after leaving work, and her whereabouts are still unknown. My mother suddenly became a little uneasy. How come another young woman has gone missing? This seems to be the fourth one this month, right? My father immediately corrected her. You remember it wrong. This is the fifth one. The news report then issued a warning. All 5 people who went missing this month were young, beautiful women. Young, beautiful women are advised to avoid going out at night if possible. If you must go out, it's best to go with a companion and avoid remote areas. My mother quickly looked at me, signaling me not to let Han go out alone. I immediately promised that I would take good care of her. Meanwhile, the supermarket owner who had been obstructing law enforcement had been taken to the police station. An officer then asked the doctor, how's the examination going? Is he mentally ill? However, the doctor just waved his hand helplessly. It's still uncertain. I've been trying to communicate with him, but he's been completely silent, like he's mute. The officer couldn't help but frown. He's not mute. He was shouting and screaming back at the market. Suddenly, the officer heard a strange sound. Following the sound, he saw the supermarket owner's body actually beginning to expand. The next second, he transformed into a giant mutant rat. The officer gave a decisive order, quick, request mechanically modified backup from headquarters to the station. This man is transforming into a giant mutant rat. The woman had been the beauty of the police force. But because of a supermarket owner, she died tragically in a police car. It was all because she brought the owner who was obstructing the extermination team back to the station. Unexpectedly, the owner mutated right there in the police station, instantly turning into a giant mutant rat. The officers quickly organized to lay down suppressive fire on the mutant rat, and just then, Xiao Mei ran over to report. The mechanically modified units from headquarters are all out on missions. It'll be at least 10 minutes before they can send anyone to support us. We don't have enough ammo. I'm afraid we can't hold out for backup. Hearing this, the chief decisively left 2 people behind to hold off the mutant rat. He then signaled for the others to get in the car quickly, to lure the mutant rat to the outskirts and buy time. Xiao Mei was the first one in the police car, while another officer sat in the driver's seat. Seeing the mutant rat chasing after them, the chief gave a firm order. Faster, lure it up the mountain. Buy more time for backup. However, just as the car was passing through a tunnel, the giant mutant rat suddenly lunged down from above. Even with the officer flooring the accelerator, there was no way to dodge. The mutant rat sent the police car flying. Xiao Mei, who was in the car, was tragically killed. Just when everyone thought the plan to buy time had failed, several missiles suddenly rained down from the sky, all landing squarely on the mutant rat's head. After staggering the mutant rat, the cyborg immediately locked onto its target. It initiated a full-on bombardment, continuously blasting the giant mutant rat with missiles. But unexpectedly, it managed to escape by digging a tunnel. However, judging from the chunks of flesh left on the ground, it must be severely injured. It probably couldn't have gone far. There's a chance to find and eliminate it. Meanwhile, I was engrossed in writing my novel. I had been writing for over half a month, and my earnings had already reached over 10,000. Since I couldn't sleep, I decided to find an alley with no security cameras to test the results of my recent training. I can now sprint 100 meters in just 3.4 seconds and have a vertical leap of 7.2 meters. The improvement is quite significant. I feel that if I keep going like this, I'll eventually become superhuman. Just then, I heard a noise nearby. I quickly turned towards the sound. I saw a person squatting by a pile of trash, mumbling to a rat in their hands. "Brother, I'm sorry. I didn't want to eat you. I'm just so hungry." Hearing this, I was stunned. Could this be the one from the news today? The giant mutant rat that escaped? It's actually transformed into a rat person. I immediately turned and ran. I had to get away and call the police. But the rat person spotted me too. Starving, it quickly leapt up and charged at me, screaming that it wanted meat. Rat person was incredibly fast. I knew I couldn't get away. So, I made the split-second decision to turn and face it head-on, delivering a flying kick to its chest. I put all my strength into that kick, sending the rat person flying backward. The rat person, feeling the pain surging through its body, was secretly shocked. This human looks so weak. How can he have so much strength? While it was stunned, I quickly picked up a rock. The next second, a rock hit it squarely in the head. I kept throwing rocks, one after another. I knew I couldn't give it a chance to fight back. I had to finish it off first. Under my relentless assault, the rat person was quickly reduced to a mangled heap. Seeing that it was completely lifeless, I finally stopped throwing rocks. Then, I walked over and reached out to touch its remains. Can devour life essence. This means it's completely dead. But only a 2% increase is a bit low. Last time, it was a full 5%. I couldn't help but guess this was related to the different amount of Rat King genes the heretic had absorbed. Seeing that it was almost dawn, I quickly turned and left. Shortly after, the female cyborg also arrived. He's dead? Who killed this rat man? Meanwhile, a man in black was carrying a woman to the side of an altar. He placed the woman in the middle of the altar, then knelt and kowtowed. "Lord Rat God, please enjoy the offering I have brought for you." However, a displeased voice echoed from the darkness. "Why is there only one? Are you trying to starve me? Or could it be that you are also part of this offering?" Xiao Gaga immediately prostrated himself on the ground. No, Lord Rat God, please let me explain." Lord Rat God, young women are very cautious these days. They travel in groups when they go out during the day, so they're not easy to catch. Having no other choice, the Rat God had to agree. Then catch a young man next time. After saying that, it threw a piece of flesh in front of Xiao Gaga, who immediately began to devour it ravenously. "Thank you for your gift, Lord Rat God." The Rat God paid him no more mind. Instead, it wrapped itself around a young woman and devoured her on the spot. Young women become offerings for the Rat God, and for each offering, it grants the provider a piece of its own flesh. Even though the offering was as beautiful as a flower, the Rat God was not satisfied. "Don't catch commoners next time. Their lives are too hard, so they don't taste good. I want to eat those high and mighty people. They live pampered lives. Their flesh is rich and tender." Early the next morning, to help Shen Qinghan improve her martial arts score, from the angle of her punch and the posture of her waist and legs, I guided her on correcting her form to generate power with her whole body, then had her practice throwing a punch from an angle. Seeing that Han was really getting the hang of it, I told her to attack me with all her strength. Han didn't waste a second, lunging at me and throwing a punch. I caught it easily and praised her, saying the angle of her punch was perfect. It had a lot more power than before. Then, Han suddenly twisted her waist and threw a kick at me. I immediately pointed out that her kicking form was wrong. Before you kick, your feet need to be a bit further apart. So, Han followed my correction and tried the same move again. After training for quite a while, Han was exhausted and out of breath. But she could also feel that her martial arts skills had improved, so she begged me to come and give her special training every day. I just told her it wasn't necessary. You wouldn't be able to handle it every day. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. I opened it and saw it was a special news report. The Jishin Group announced on its official website that it would provide free medical treatment for the young mechanical genius, Zaibai, who was left disabled due to premature cybernetic enhancements. After reading it, I couldn't help but be shocked. Jingdai University genius successfully fuses with 1,000 silk spider beast genes. She broke the school record for the youngest person to undergo a second gene fusion. Normally, most people have to wait until they're adults before undergoing gene fusion. Otherwise, their bodies can't handle the beast genes taking over. It's easy for mutations to occur. And yet, this genius from Jingdai has already had her second fusion, and she's not even 18 yet. Her natural physical aptitude is incredible. Could gene fusion really be the optimal choice? Huang Kaoli. After that, I didn't give it much more thought. With the combined effects of the use it or lose it principle and my own innate talent, after a month of writing practice, I can now easily type 10,000 words an hour. My dad read my novel and praised it, saying the book was doing really well. He estimated I could earn around 50,000 in royalties in the first month. Making 100,000 a month in the future would be no problem. I was ecstatic when I heard that. If I had that kind of income, I wouldn't have to worry about the funds to unlock the exotic beast Atlas anymore. The next day in martial arts class, Han Yuanfeng organized an in-class sparring session. As always, I completely dominated the class, beating everyone so badly they couldn't even fight back. Not only did I earn 888 yuan, but I also made progress on the survival of the fittest mission. In contrast, Shen Qinghan still couldn't beat anyone. As usual, she ranked last in the class, but unlike before, she could actually fight back now. She wouldn't get kicked off the stage with a single blow like she used to. This time, she managed to trade blows with her opponent, lasting for almost 3 minutes before she was defeated. Even Han Yuanfeng praised her for her great improvement and told her to keep it up. Afterwards, Han Yuanfeng made an announcement. In 1 month, they would be challenging the strongest honors class of the second year. The goal was to beat everyone except for the top 3 students in their class. Everyone else had to be taken down. In the blink of an eye. A month had passed since my novel was published, and I had saved up a full 80,000. I immediately went to the supermarket to buy some violent great condor meat. The salesgirl cheerfully told me that if I bought 100 jin right now, I could get a 5% discount. So, I decided to wait until I had saved enough money and then buy 100 jin all at once. The next day at noon, Han and I were having lunch. The new stir-fry counter was delicious, so a lot more people were coming to the cafeteria to eat. It's a good thing we got there early, otherwise we would have had to wait in line. Then I noticed someone trying to cut in line, but He stopped them. He looked very intimidating, so the person who tried to cut in line had no choice but to sulk away. But then I saw that person run over and say something to 3 other guys, and then they all cut in line right in front of He tried to push them away, but he found that he couldn't even budge the 2 of them. Seeing this, I quickly stood up, tapped one of them on the shoulder, and said, "Excuse me, please go to the back of the line." The guy pointed at me. "I'm not moving, what are you gonna do about it?" So I just pulled out my phone and said I was going to report him. The guy immediately backed down. "Seriously? You're gonna stoop to reporting someone? How pathetic." In response, I just chuckled. I think cutting in line is even more pathetic. That night, inside a villa in the wealthy Shanghai district, a man sitting on a stool said, "Sha Cheng is dead. A while back he went crazy, ran over to the market, and picked a fight with the security patrol. And he got himself killed. This young man here is new. He'll be taking over Sha Cheng's position from now on. Everyone, get acquainted. Also, the great Lord Rat God has told me, ordinary people are too bitter, they don't taste good. From now on, we are to consume the elites, the people above people. Everyone be aware of this, so you don't offer the wrong sacrifices when the time comes." One of the people below immediately raised an objection. "Leader, targeting the elite is too risky. If 1 or 2 commoners go missing, it's no big deal. But if one of the elites disappears, I'm afraid things will get serious." The leader offered a suggestion: try to pick off the children of merchants who are rich but have no power. That way, the risk will be much lower. Oh, and by the way, you're the new guy, so you don't have to target the elite. For practice, just start by capturing a handsome, ordinary young man. He can be offered as a sacrifice to the Lord Divine Sun, who serves under the Rat God. The newcomer immediately replied with confidence, "Understood, leader. Don't you worry. For Guan manga recaps, I will offer the Son of God the most handsome sacrifice in the entire city." Guan manga recaps. A senior girl was dominating the tournament, her martial arts skills in no way inferior to the boys. Not only were her moves vicious, landing with every punch, but she also showed absolutely no mercy. She took down several opponents in a row all by herself, without even breaking a sweat. Turns out, just a moment ago, He found out that the people who cut in line the other day are from the strongest sophomore honors class that we're challenging today. I immediately pointed out that good grades don't necessarily mean good character. As I was scrolling through my phone, I suddenly came across a news story. Another rich kid had gone missing. This was already the 5th case. And the motive wasn't money at all, because no ransom had been demanded from their families. Could these disappearances be related to the Rat God cult? Soon, it was time for the challenge to begin. Those guys who cut in front of Hiyu's group were cracking their knuckles, clearly wanting to use this opportunity to crush him. But Hiyu wasn't intimidated and immediately returned the same gesture. Soon after, both classes finished their warm-ups. The match began right away. Just like last time, Han was the one to start things off. The opposing senior came at Han with a flying kick. Although Han took a defensive stance, she was still sent flying. Defeated, Han couldn't help but sigh. As expected of a senior from the honors class, turtle strategy was completely useless. Then, the second female student went up. But just like Han, she was sent flying with a single punch. The girls were simply no match for that senior's strength. Even Li Chuxin, the strongest among the girls, was beaten without being able to fight back. It wasn't until a slightly more muscular, short-haired girl stepped up that the senior, who had used up a lot of stamina, was finally taken down. But the next opponent, a senior with twin pigtails, quickly took control of the situation again. In less than 10 minutes, this senior had taken down 9 people in a row. Among them were 3 boys. Before long, our class was down to only 4 people. Meanwhile, the sophomore class 3 had only lost 5 students. They still had as many as 36 people who hadn't even fought yet. The power gap was just too big. The teacher felt that this was an impossible fight. He then looked at Hiyu and motioned for him to take out all 6 of their remaining girls. Hiyu immediately stepped onto the stage with confidence, saying it was no problem at all. He was absolutely thrilled at this point. Forget 6, he'd be happy to fight even more of the senior girls. He was more than willing. After a hard-fought battle, Hiyu lived up to expectations. It took some effort, but he knocked all 6 of their girls off the stage. Next, the boy who had cut in front of Hiyu jumped onto the stage. Are you ready to die? Hiyu figured that since this guy was the first one up from their side, he had to be a total noob. This was the perfect chance for revenge. But the next second, the boy charged at him with incredible speed. Caught off guard, Hiyu took a heavy punch. Hiyu hadn't expected him to be so fast, and the force of that punch was immense. The boy then humiliatingly stepped right over him and taunted, "You're too weak. Just give up." Enraged, Hiyu immediately threw a punch, but the boy dodged it easily. Then he threw a backward kick, hitting Hiyu again. This time, Hiyu was kicked off the stage. Hiyu immediately understood that the guy had deliberately come out to get revenge on him. Then, that little punk looked at me. You like to stick your nose in other people's business, don't you? If you've got the guts, then come on. Hearing that, I jumped onto the stage without a second thought. I was just worrying about not getting a chance to fight, and finally, my opportunity came. My classmates immediately started cheering excitedly, telling me to completely destroy him. To get revenge for Hiyu. And Xiao Gaga was the first to charge at me. He tried to pull the same old trick, aiming a kick at me. In response, I just casually raised my hand and easily blocked the kick. Then, I quickly reached out and grabbed his head and slammed it straight into the ground. In just a single exchange, Xiao Gaga was knocked unconscious. Then I stepped right over his body and kicked him off the stage. At that moment, the upperclassmen were completely stunned. They never imagined that Chiyu, ranked in the top 5, would be taken out in a single blow. Even the teacher couldn't help but comment, "This kid is definitely hiding a lot of his strength. Otherwise, there's no way he could have done it in one move." Hearing this, the braggart duo nearly wet their pants. Is this guy even human? He must be using cheats. Meanwhile, I looked at the remaining students from class 2 to 3 and asked them who was next. The moment I said that, they were so scared they all took a step back. Half an hour later, the remaining 29 people from class 2 to 3 were completely wiped out. My survival of the fittest score reached 119. Since I'm always the last one to go in every class battle, if this keeps up, it'll take forever to complete the mission. So next, I went to find the principal. I asked her to arrange a solo challenge for me. I want to challenge every student in the entire school. Just by asking the principal to follow me to the empty gym, I already had her mind racing with all sorts of ideas. But after I truly showed her my power, she immediately became my biggest fan. It all started a short while ago when I went to the principal, wanting to take on the entire school. However, this request gave her a huge headache. Because I'm just a first-year student, what right did I have to challenge the whole school? To get the principal to agree, I suggested she come with me to the gym. I told her I would prove it to her. Soon after, the principal followed me to the gym. Principal was confused about why I brought her here so late, but I just took off my jacket and said, "To show you my strength, of course." The principal's mind immediately went to the wrong place. She quickly started to tell me to wait, but I paid her no attention. I lifted a 700-kilogram dumbbell with one hand. This sight left the principal, who was about to say something, completely and utterly stunned. So this is the strength he was talking about. He's even stronger than the school's top student. Wu Tiancheng was in his first year. The principal then gave me a thumbs up and agreed to my request. I'll go arrange a one-man show for you to challenge the whole school. To get more people to participate, I quickly suggested, "Principal, please remember to set up rewards. Without rewards, no one will be motivated. It would be best to set up 2 types of rewards. One is a participation prize, to encourage everyone to get on stage and challenge me. The other is a cumulative prize. Basically, we'll create a prize pool. The more challengers there are, the bigger the prize pool gets. Whoever beats me gets to take all the prize money.